If you go through the previous year papers of Python, you'll find that the questions are of three types. The first is the definition type questions, where you will have to write the definitions, like for different topics we have, right? So you have to write the definition of it, like define lists. Okay, so just the meaning of what the data type is. Okay, for that it might be around 2 marks, and you have to write the syntax, like for example, what is the syntax of a for loop or a while loop, and how do you define lists. So what a class is an object, the syntax of it. So those carry 1 mark. Okay, and finally the means the most weightage is given to the code snippet. Okay, the code snippet can be of two types, like write a code to like do the following, or write a program to do the following. Okay, code snippet comes under the definition type questions, and the write a program comes under like a separate question. Okay, so these are the topics which we have in the 5 modules, and the least means the easiest ones are module 1, module 2, and module 4, I guess, because comparatively while we compare to module 3 and module 5, it's a bit harder. This has a lot of codes, and this has like a lot of understanding things, but here it's comparatively easy. Okay, so the flow of this video would be as follows. We'll be going through each topic, and I'll be telling you what type of questions are asked in these topics. Okay, and means I'll not be giving you the whole answer. I'll be giving you just a hint of how you'll be writing the answer. Okay, so in the module 1, as you can see, there are 3 topics: Python basics, flow control, and functions. Okay, Python basics, and those are just the data types and all, and flow control, the if else condition parts and all, and functions, how to define a function. Okay, that is about module 1. So let's get started with the module 1. So in the Python basics, these two are the questions which like are repeated more, like explain the salient features of Python. Okay, so now I'm going to the answers part. I request you to open the questions part in some other device, so that you could be seeing the questions while I discuss the answers. Okay, so this is the answer which you could get from anywhere, like any textbook and all. So the basic answer is that see, these are the points which you could easily keep in mind. Okay, like it's easy to code, free and open source, it's GUI programming support, high level language, portable, object oriented language. Okay, so there are many more other means points. Just write each point and write a few words on that. Okay, that was about the first question. The second one is demonstrate with an example print input and string replication. Okay, print is just you will be writing here print, and whatever you want to print you will be writing under the parenthesis in a quotes. Okay, so this will get printed. If you want to take the input, what you will be doing is you'll be assigning a variable here, and then you will be writing input. Okay, by input what you will do, you will take the input from the user. Okay, and here you will specify your question, like this will get printed, enter your name, and then whatever you enter it will be stored in S. Okay, that was about the input. And string replication, suppose that I have a string A which consists of 1 1 and B consists of 0 0. To replicate it, what I will be doing, I will be creating a new variable C, and I will be writing A plus B. So what will happen, 1 1 and 0 0, so it will be 1 1 0 0. This will be stored in C. Okay, so these all things you have to write properly in a means form of a code snippet, and that's how you demonstrate each of the following. Okay, so this is just for your reference. You have to write it in a more organized manner. Okay, so coming to the flow control, which is the second topic, explain the concept of conditional execution. Okay, conditional execution means if there is a condition and what is getting executed, that is known as conditional execution. 3 things are asked: what is conditional execution, what is chained execution, and what is alternate execution. By the names only you can remember conditional execution. It depends on a condition. If A is greater than 10, print hello. Okay, that's the code snippet you have to write. And the second one is alternate execution. Alternate means either this one will execute or this one will execute. That's for sure, because if this does not execute, this will execute. If this will execute, this will not execute. Okay, so this is if else. And the chain execution means it is if else if elif part. Okay, and here you will have nested if conditions also. Okay, that is known as chained execution. Okay, so these are the means any example you can give here, your means what is suitable for you, you can give that examples and write the code snippet. Okay, also write what does each of these terms mean. Okay, so coming to the next one, in the flow control, we have been given with this equation here. What you have to do is you have to simplify and write the answer. Before that, we have to just mention what is the maths operators used in Python along with their priority order. Priority order means if there are like 5 plus 2 into 3, if you do it in two ways, you'll get two answers. If you do this first, you will get 21. Else, if you do this first, you will get 11. Right. So, which answer should be chosen? That is decided by the priorities of these operators. That priority list is here. In the first, the parenthesis means the brackets. Then the exponent means 2 raised to 3 like that. And after that, we have the plus x minus x. You can ignore this one. Here we have the into, divide and modulus operator, then we have the plus minus. Three things only you have to remember: parenthesis, multiply, divide and modulus operator, then comes plus and minus. Using these rules, you have to solve the following equation. Here you can observe there are two parts. First is this one and second is this one. Inside the second part you have two terms here. So first we will be solving these two terms, okay, because parenthesis is at the top. Okay, so here we have a parenthesis, it gives 8 and 2. Okay, 8 by 2 4, and this parenthesis gives 4 4s are 16. Okay, so that's all about the second question. And the third question is, what are the comparison and boolean operator? Comparison means by the term what you can understand: greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, those terms. Okay, so that is the comparison operator. And one thing you need to note, it's not equal to, okay, it's actually equal to. For comparison you will use double equal to. This is for assignment. Okay, so this is the comparison operators, and here you will get less than equal to and all, and those you have to include. Also you will get here not equal to, okay, that's also there. And the boolean operators are and, or, not. Okay, so by using these three you can give some examples. Okay, that was about the third question. And the fourth question is, what are the different flow control statements support in Python? Explain any three with a suitable example and a flow chart. Okay, so these three are the conditional statements: if else and if elif. Okay, you can give any examples. This is pretty simple, so I have not included the examples here. And a flow chart means you will just draw here, like if a is greater than 10, and then what will happen if it is true, if it is false, then some things will happen here. Based on that, other programs will be getting executed. Okay, that's what you have to draw here in the flow chart. Okay, that was about the fourth question. Coming to the next question, we have explain elif, for, while, break, continue statement in Python with examples for each. Okay, so what I have not covered, that I will be covering now. Okay, so we have not covered the for loop. The for loop syntax is as follows: for I in range x comma y. Suppose that x comma y is 0 comma 10, so I will be running from 0 to 10, means I will be first 0, then it will be 1, then it will be 2, till it will be 10. Okay, so whatever you want to print here, you can print here. Okay, just give a suitable example. While loop is same as the C++. Here we will have while a condition, and while the condition is true, this will get executed. Okay, and break and continue: if some condition is there inside a while loop, if it satisfies that condition and there is break statement, it will come out of the while loop. Continue means it will just skip the current iteration and move to the next iteration. Okay, this how give some examples based on your choice for each of these. Okay, that was about the second topic in the module 1. Coming to the third topic, you have to know how to write the functions. Okay, so let me give you actually how you'll define the function. Okay, just write here def. Okay, def is for definition. Okay, you are defining a function, so you have to write def. Okay, then write the function name here, and inside that any parameters if it's accepting. For now, let's keep it without any parameters. Just take the simple example here. What I have defined is define area, and here I have written the brackets, then colon here. These four things you have to remember: def, area, brackets, and here colon. After you have written that, whatever you want to make that function happen when that function is called, that you will be doing here. Okay, so when you call here as print means area is the function, right? So here you will have area, and when you call area, what will happen is square will be printed. Okay, so let's move to the first question. Write a Python program to calculate the area of a square, rectangle and a circle. Print the results, take the input from the user. So what we have to do here is we have to define a function area which does three things. It calculates the area of square, it calculates the area of rectangle, it calculates the area of circle. Okay, for square, what we need to take the input, we have to write the input function here and take the side. So the answer will be print s into s. That will be side into side. That's the area of square. Now for rectangle, you will have to take two inputs, for one for the length, other for the breadth, and you will multiply it and return the area. Third is the circle. Here you will have pi r square, so just have to take the radius and return the value pi into r into r. Okay, so that's how you print the values. And finally, after defining all of these, you will be calling area function. Okay, The next question is what are user defined functions, how can you pass parameters in user defined functions, and explain with suitable example. Okay, so what are user defined functions? The user defined functions are those functions that cannot be inbuilt, okay, that are not not inbuilt and but defined by the user. Okay, so those are the user defined functions, the functions which are defined by the user. Okay, now what is its syntax? To means just what we had discussed, this also user defined function. Okay, so syntax you have to write as follows: you have to write the def keyword and the function name and the parameters, here means optional parameters, and after that the code part. Okay, so this is the definition of user defined functions, and you can give any suitable example. Okay, so the third question is write a Python program to create a user defined function to find the maximum and minimum letter in a string, also find the length of the string without using the inbuilt function. Okay, three things we have to do: we have to find out the maximum letter, we have to find out the minimum letter, and the third thing is you have to find out the length of the string. Okay, so this is the function we have defined. Like first we will write the definition, means def this is the maximum minimum, and here we are accepting a string, okay, as an argument. And after we have got the string, what you have to do, we have to find out the maximum and the minimum. Okay, so how can you find out the maximum and minimum? In ASCII values, a is considered as 65, okay, and small a is considered as 98, I guess. Okay, so after that it keeps on going till z, it will be somewhere around 120, I guess, I don't know. So it will be like this, and it will be z, capital Z will be around 87 something, I am not sure about that, but this is the least letter and this is the maximum letter. Okay, so what I will be doing is just like how we find out the maximum and the minimum number in a list, same thing we'll be doing for this also. We just have to find out, just assume that there are some numbers in the list, we have to find out which is the maximum number and which is the minimum number. So for max I am initializing capital A, and min I am initializing small z. Okay, I am taking the opposite extremes. So whenever I find I've started from here, I've taken the count for keeping the count of what is the length of the string, and after that we means for each letter when I find in S, I'll be doing the count plus is equal to 1. So for all the letters in S, I'll be getting a count plus is equal to 1. In count, I'll have the length of the string. Okay, so the third part of the question is done, and let's find out the maximum and minimum. Again, I'll be doing the same for loop, and I'll be checking for I, if it is greater than max, then max will become I. Max is initially the least letter, which is capital A, right? When I get any letter which is more than that, I'll be updating that. And if I get a letter which is less than minimum, minimum is the maximum letter, which is Z initially, and when I get a letter which is smaller than Z, I'll be updating that with the minimum. Okay, then I'll just print what is the max and the minimum letter. Okay, so that was about the third question, and let's move on to the fourth one, which is explain the concept of conversion, type conversion functions and math functions in Python with example. Okay, so what do you mean by type conversion? Type conversion means, suppose that we have 2 here, as a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3.0. okay, when you add both of these, this is the int value, this is the float value. Okay, float value is 3.0 and int value is 2. When you add both of these, I'll get the answer as 5.0. so the answer is getting converted to the greater of the int and float, so that is known as type conversion. Okay, so you can give an example here. And second is the math functions, right? So math functions, the mainly used functions are power, sine, cos, tan, and square root. Okay, you can give like 5 examples. Okay, so here you can give the same examples inside a Python code snippet. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. In this question, we have to write a Python program to generate all the prime numbers between given two numbers, like for example 7 and 13. So what are the prime numbers between 7 and 13? It is 11 and 13. Okay, that's it. And 7 also if we include. So these are the 3 prime numbers. Okay, then when we get the answer, and after that what we have to do, write a Python program which accepts 2 integers m and n as inputs. Okay, so if it's not following the conditions, you have to display the error messages also. So here what we have done is we have defined 2 functions. Here is the prime gen. Okay, prime gen means it accepts 2 integers between which 2 values you are going to find out the prime numbers. For example 7 and 19, these are the 2 numbers like x and y. Between these 2 numbers we are going to find out how many primes are there. So we'll be running a for loop here, I in range x to y. So we are running from 7 to 19, and each iteration I'll be checking if I is prime or not, means I'll be checking 7 is prime or not. How do you check a number is a prime number or not? What you have to do, suppose that if I want to check 7 is prime or not, okay, I'll be running from 0 to 6. I'll be dividing 7 with not 0, from 2. 7 by 2 if it's not divisible. Okay, whenever it becomes divisible, that's the means if this is 8, it will 8 divisible by 4, yes, so it's not a prime. So I should get all the numbers not prime. Okay, then only it is called as a prime number. Sorry, I should get all the numbers which is not divisible, so then only I can call that as a prime number. Okay, so that was about the how to find out the prime number. And after I get the prime number, I'll be printing the prime number here. Okay, and if I get the prime number here, means if this is true, at that time I'll print the prime number. So in this way I'll be running from x to y, means I'll be running the whole range, and after that I'll be printing the prime numbers I got. Okay, so in that way I'll be knowing if it's a prime number or not. If it's not a prime number, means if I get any number which is divisible, at that time I'll return false. Okay, if I return false, this will not be executed. This will only be executed when it's returning true, and all the true means whenever I get the values as true, that means it's a prime number, and that will be printed here. Okay, and move on, let's move on to the next question, which is define a function to for the Fibonacci series. So in Fibonacci series, what happens is you have two numbers here, 0, 1. What will be the next number is 0 plus 1. It will be 1. The next number is 1 plus 1, it is 2. The next number is 1 plus 2, which is 3. So the approach of our question is like if they ask n is equal to 5, so you have to print the first 5 numbers. Okay, so how we will do that is we'll take fa as 0 and fb as 1. After that, while true, what we will do, print fc. Fc means 0 plus 1. This will be printed 1. Then I will change the value of fa as this one and fb as this one. Then I will again print this one. I will change the fa as this one, fb as this one. Then again fa as this one, fb as this one. Like that will keep on changing, adding and printing the next values until I get I is equal to n. If I becomes n, that means I have printed how many numbers I had to print. Then I will be breaking out from the loop. Okay, and the seventh question is about exceptional handling. So here I'll be telling you how to do the exceptional handling. Before I did not explain how to do the exceptional handling in each of these questions which was asked. Like if there happens to be some error, what you have to do? It's very simple. You just have to include try and catch block. Okay, try, inside the try block you will have to write these things, and inside the catch block you will write exception occurred. Okay, so what is exceptional handling? It is a standard way to handle errors generated during the execution. Okay, so here the example which they have asked us to give is about the divide by 0. Okay, so suppose that I have two numbers a and b, and I try to divide a by b. If b is 0, it should not execute, it should say it is an error. Okay, so how will I know if it's an error or not? So here's the function, and divide key, divide by. Okay, so numerator I have 42 and denominator is getting passed. If it is some number other than 0, it will be means it will run as usual. If it's 0, at that time what will happen is this will be running except 0 division error. Okay, 0 division error, this will detect if this is 0 or not. If it's true, then it will print error, it cannot execute. Okay, invalid argument. Okay, so that's how you handle the errors. And moving on to the next question. Write a function to check if the string is palindrome or not. Okay, so how will you check if a string is palindrome? So I will define palin as this one, and what is the basic idea behind finding if it's a palindrome or not? Okay, that's more important for you to know. So suppose that I have a string a b b a. I'll be checking from here if a is the first letter is the last letter or not. Then I will come here and I'll check this letter is equal to this letter or not. Then I will come here and here, then that string is over. So if you get all time equal, it means it is a palindrome. So what I will do is I'll take a string s here, and I'll take I as 0 and n as length of s. Okay, so let's take a sample string here, a b c b a. So here the index values are 0 1 2 3 and 4. So n value will be length of s, which is 5. Okay, and I will be 0. I will be pointing here first. So what I am checking is while I is less than or equal to n by 2, means I will come till here and it will stop. Okay, means till the half part, because if we just want to check the half part, rest half part is getting checked simultaneously, right? So we just have to travel the half array, and here we have s of I is not equal to s of n minus I. What is n minus I? It should be actually n minus I minus 1. Okay, because this is the index number 4. Okay, I'm checking if this is equal to this. If it's true, then I will keep continuing. If it's not true, I'll print it's not a palindrome and break. Then what I'm doing, I plus plus, I have to include I plus plus here. So I will become this one, and n minus 1 minus I. So n minus 1 minus I is 5 minus 1 minus 1, which is 3. So it will check this one and this one. Again it will check this one, and means this one with this one is obviously same only, so it will check and say it is a palindrome. Okay, suppose that instead of B here I had C. This one was checked with this one in the second iteration and it is not equal, so it will print not palindrome and it will break. Okay. Moving on to the next one, we have the two things, global scope and local scope. Okay, so what is a global scope is that it will have the function can be accessed from anywhere in the program. Okay, so if this is the program here, if I define any variable here at the top, this can be accessed by all of these lines. But if I define a variable inside a function, okay, then that variable can be accessed only inside that function. After that function gets over in this line, suppose in this line I cannot access B after the function is over, but still I can access A because it is defined for the whole program. That is the difference between global and local variable. Just write the definition of each of these and give the example. So here's a simple example for you. A global scope A, local scope B. Okay, here I have a function. Suppose that it's no function is here, function starts from here. Okay, def function. Here A is having the global scope, and since I have defined B inside the function, it is having the local scope. Okay, moving on to the next one, we have define a function, write a Python program to create a function collapse that reads a parameter named number. Okay, so here we are reading a number. Okay, means we are asking a user to enter some number, so user will be entering some number, right? So when the user has entered number, we have to check what it is, even or odd. If it is even, at that time I will print means suppose that the number is 6 is even, so I'll print 6 by 2, that is 3. So the answer will be printed as 3. Suppose that the number is odd, at that time what I have to 7, if it's odd, I have to multiply the number by 3, add 1 and print the value, which is 22. So these two are the conditions I have to check. So first I will take the number as int input, and one more condition is that I have to run the program until the return value is 1. Okay, until the return value is 1 I have to run the program. So what I will do is I will have while true here, and I will take the number input. Now I am checking two things, if it's even or odd. Even means the remainder will be 0 when I do modulus by 2. Okay, so if it is even, print number by 2, and if number by 2 is equal to 1, then return it, else do again the same thing. Okay, so I'll keep on checking for even, and if it's odd I have to just do 3 into number plus 1, and if that value is equal to 1, at that time I'll be returning the value and ending the program. Okay, so this will continue until the value is 1, means the return value is 1 in either of these case. So yeah, that's what the question had asked us to do. And moving on to the next one, we have write a Python program to, this is the 11th question. Okay, that answer I have not written because it's just like you have to write a Python program to check if the number is even or odd. So this is the same thing, just have to check modulus value of that number divided by 2. If it's 0 it's even, if it's not 0 it's not it's odd. Okay, and 12th question is demonstrate the concept of exception and implement a code which prompts the users for Celsius temperature, convert the temperature into Fahrenheit, and print out the converted temperature by handling the exception. How you handle the exception? Try and accept. Okay, by this block you will handle the exception, and the formula is there, right? Celsius is equal to 5 by 9 something of Fahrenheit. So you will just implement this formula and print out the result. Okay, and if the values are given wrong by the user, at that time you will do the exception. Okay, so that was about the first module. Let's move on to the second module. First let's have a look what is in the second module. There are mainly three things: lists, dictionaries and strings. Here you have to know the definition and write the functions which are used in lists, and you have to write the code snippets. Okay, so let's get started with the module 2. And the first question in the module 2 is what is a list, and there are some functions which we have to write the definition and give an example. Okay, so let's discuss what are those functions. The first is the definition of a list. Okay, a list is a value that contains multiple values in an ordered sequence. Okay, so list is just like an array in C++, but you can have different data types. Okay, so for example, if you have A 5 5.4 true, okay, this all can be included in a list. Okay, it will have a order which is the index values 0 1 2 3. Okay, so this is known as a list. And The first question is slicing and indexing. Okay, slicing means what? Slicing means you are dividing the list into two parts. From where to where you just want to print, or you just want a smaller part of that list, you will be dividing that part. Okay, so that is known as slicing. So in slicing, to give an example, first take a list here. Spam is equal to cat, bat, rat and elephant. Okay, so to slice, what you will do, 0 to 4. So from 0 to 4, the if it is 4, that means it will take till 3 only. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. If you want till 2, you will specify 0 to 3. 1 should be extra in it. Okay, so when you slice it, the means the list will be these 4 elements. Okay, so let's take a smaller example, 1, 2, 3. So here it will be element number 1, element number 2, means bat and rat will only be printed. Okay, spam, and that bracket from which limit to which limit plus 1. Okay, and if you have to print any element, you will just have to write the index and index value along with the list name like spam, and in square brackets then index value. So that will print what is in that index value. Okay, so that is about the second one, which is indexing. Slicing means taking a part of it, and indexing means printing the specific element. The next one is the len function. So len just means how many elements are there in the list. Okay, if you use len, inside that inside the parenthesis you have to write the name of that list, then you will get the value, means how many elements are there in that list. Okay, that's the second function. And the third one is concatenation and replication. Okay, concatenation means adding up. Okay, so you have two lists here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. If you add, you will get 1, 2, 3 here along with the 4, 5, 6. Okay, and replication means you are just taking the same element, okay, duplicating it many times and saving it. That is known as replication. So replication will be done by a into 3. Okay, like suppose c is equal to a into 3, then in c what you will have, 1, 2, 3, again 1, 2, 3 and again 1, 2, 3. So this is what you will have in c. Okay, that was about replication. I forgot to write the example. So the fourth one is the delete statement. If there is this list here and you want to delete some element from it like rat, what you will do is you will just write the del and spam and the index value. Okay, so what will be deleted is rat will be deleted. So that's how you delete the element from the list. So you just have to write del and the list name, and in square brackets you have to write which index value you are going to delete. Okay, and the fifth one is the in and not in operator. So if there is this is the previous example we are taking here. Spam has 4 elements: cat, bat, rat and elephant. So we have 4 elements here: cat, rat, bat and elephant. Okay, and what we have to check is if whole is there in the spam or not, means the word whole, if it's present in the list spam or not. So we'll be writing whole not in spam. That's true because whole is not present in spam, so the output will be true. And if you have to check if some element is there in the spam, then we have to write cat in spam. Cat element is present in spam, so it will be printing as true. Okay, this is how you use the in and not in operator. Okay, so moving on to the next one, we have the multiple assignment and augmented assignment operator. So multiple assignment means suppose that we have cat here, and the description of cat is fat, gray and loud. So I have to assign the each of these values as for size variable, color variable and disposition variable. Okay, so what I will do is I'll have that list here, means the index values are here. Based on the index values, I will be writing size comma color comma disposition is equal to the string the list value here. Okay, so that will be assigned to each of these variable. Okay, that's how you use the multiple assignment operator. The next one is the augmented assignment. It means the shorthand notation. So if you have spam is equal to 42, if you want to write if you want to increment the spam of spam value by 1, you can write spam is equal to spam plus 1. Else in the shortcut way, what you can write is spam plus is equal to 1. So it will add the value 1 to the spam value, the previous value, and it will store in the spam value itself. So spam value will be equal to 43. Okay, so that was about the augmented assignment operator. Okay, and moving on, the next one we have the index value. Okay, so if you want to fetch the index value of some of the element here, I know that there is an element hello in it. Okay, in spam I know that there is some element hello in it, but I don't know at what location it is present. So what I will do is spam the list name dot index, and inside that I'll pass which index I want, means for which word index I want. Okay, that I can fetch in this way: spam dot index then hello. Okay, so that will return me the index value. Okay, the next one is the append and insert operator. Append means you are just including the new element at the last. Okay, so this the three words cat, dog and mouse, and moose you are including at the last. Okay, it just append the new characters at the end. So for that you will use append. And insert means you are inserting some new element in a particular position. Like I want to insert moose between cat and dog. So the index values, let's write down 0, 1, 2. If I have to include moose at this position, what will be my list like? It will be cat, moose, dog and mouse. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3. So at the first position I want to insert moose. So what I will write is spam.insert moose comma 1. Okay. So here it's chicken, so it will be spam.insert which index value, one index value, and what I'm inserting, that word, so it will come in that position. Okay, that is the difference between append and insert. The next one we have remove. In remove, if you have to remove the particular element but you don't know the index value, you can remove as follows. Okay, del is used for removing the when we know the index value. Remove is used for removing means the particular word I know but I don't know where it is, so I can use remove. Spam.remove bat. So when it removes bat, we'll have three words left: cat, rat and elephant. So that will be the updated spam value. Okay. Finally, we have two functions which are sort and reverse. It's pretty simple. If the spam has these numbers here, spam.sort will sort the values here, and spam.reverse will reverse the initial values. Okay. The next question is how do you means convert a list into a tuple and a tuple into a list. Okay, so tuple is denoted by the parenthesis here, list is denoted by square brackets. Okay, if I have to convert a list into a tuple, what I'll do is, if this is the list, okay, this is the list here, I'll write that list inside tuple, so it will become a tuple. If I have to convert the tuple into a list, what I will write is, this is the tuple here, the tuple will be written inside a list, so it will become a list. Okay, that's how you convert the tuple into a list and list into a tuple. Okay, the third question is, what is the difference between copy.copy and copy.deepcopy? Okay, copy.copy means it will create a new object with a different address but the same data. What I mean is, I have one variable here like p1. Okay, p1 is equal to 5. Okay, then I have p2 is equal to p1. At that time what will happen is, p2 will be, see, 5 is in the memory, p1 is pointing to 5. Okay, then if I write p2 here as equal to p1, at that time p2 will also point to 5. If I make any change in p2, like I do p2 is equal to 7, this will become 7, and if I print p1, it will print as 7. That is what happens if I don't include copy.copy. If I just include p1 is equal to p2, but if I include p1 is equal p1 is equal to, sorry, it's not p1 is equal to p2, it's p2 is equal to p1, because p1 is initially 5. I'm creating a new variable p2, right? So instead of that, what I have to do is, p2 is equal to copy.copy. Okay, copy.copy, inside that bracket I'll write p1. So what will happen is, if I write in that way, I'll have p1 here, which will be 5 initially in the memory, it will be pointing to 5. When I do that by if I do the copy using copy.copy, p2 will be pointing to another 5. The data will be same, but it will be pointing to different objects. Now if I change the value of p2 as 7, the p1 value will be same only. Okay, this is not exactly for the integer values, it will be true in the case of variables. Okay, sorry, not variables, class and objects. Okay, there only it works. Here for your understanding only I gave this example, but the thing is that if you have p1 for the normal integers, if you have p1 is 5, p2 is equal to p1, at that time it will be pointing to a different memory only. Okay, if you make any change in p2 as 7, this will be same only. Okay, for your understanding I gave the example. The relevant of this means the relevancy of this one is in classes and objects. Okay, for the objects, object 1, if it's pointing to some variable, if you do object 2 is equal to object 1, it will point to the same variable. Okay, so that was about the copy.copy, and coming to copy.deepcopy. Okay, so here suppose that there is a class rectangle. Okay, this is the class rectangle. Here we have a class object point. Okay, the point itself consists of x and y. Okay, these are the integer values. So that object is present here, and length and breadth is there. Okay, so when we make like rect1, okay, and rect2, at that time when we equate it, rect1 is equal to copy.copy rect2, At that time what happens is these two will be pointing to different objects, but this will be pointing to the same object. What I mean is, suppose that there are two rectangles R1 R2, okay, and it has the point and length and breadth, okay, and this will also be pointing to a point and length and breadth. This will be two different types when you do copy.copy, but this will be the same thing, okay. Instead of this, what we'll have, these two will be pointing to this one only. If I make any change through R2, that change will be visible through R1, okay. So if you want that R1 should point to a different P1 object and R2 should point to different P2 object, at that time we'll use copy.deepcopy, okay. So that's the basic difference between copy.copy and copy.deepcopy, okay. So the next question is, what is a dictionary? So in dictionary we'll have the key value pairs, like this is a sample dictionary, okay. So here we have A1, B2, C3, okay, like that we'll have all the elements. This is known as keys, ABC, and 1 to 3 are known as values, okay. So this is the dictionary. You have to write the definition and you have to write the means example, okay. So we have been asked to define the keys is this one, and values, and after that we have to write the get also. So get method takes two arguments, the key of the value to retrieve, also a fallback value to return if it's not true. So what we have here is, this is the place where we use the get method, okay. So suppose that we have guests here, okay. This is the guest. Here we have Alice, which is having the key value as another dictionary. So this is known as nested dictionary, okay. So here what do we have as why do we use get item? Why do we use get? Okay, for k comma v in guest dot items, okay. So k is keys, v is values. So what will be k? K will be Alice, Bob and Carol. V will be these values. So v dot get item comma 0. What is item? Item is the thing which is passed, okay. This is actually a function here. Item has been passed as a word. Suppose that item is equal to apple. So in the first v we'll have apple here. Is apple present here? Yes, it's present. So 5 will be returned, means the value of apple will be returned. If apple is not there, like for example mango is not present here, so what value should be returned? Apple was present here, so 5 was returned. Mango is not present, so what should be returned is this value, okay. That will be returned, and what will be printed is number brought plus, means the value is getting added here and that is getting returned, okay. So just that get is used for getting the item value. If that item is not present, obviously value will not be present, so something should be returned, 0 will be returned. That is the use of get method. Next one is items. Items is means both, like we want to access keys and values both, I will use the function items. Next one is pprint. Pprint is used to print the text and values in a nice way, okay. So we'll import pprint, then message will have if you want to calculate how many times each letter has occurred, that time we will be using means if you have to output like how many times each letter has occurred, you will be using pprint. If you don't use pprint also, it will get printed, but it will be unreadable format. So what we are doing, we are accessing each character in a message, and then if that character is already present, we are incrementing it by 1, okay. So count is a dictionary. For each character, how many times it has occurred, that is getting stored. For example, space is there 13 times, comma is there 1 time, dot is there 1 time, okay. So that's what is the use of pprint. It will just print the final output in a nice format. So the syntax is pprint dot pprint. 2 times you have to write pprint, and then you have to write which dictionary you are going to pprint, okay. Dictionaries can only be accessed to use pprint, okay. The next question is explain upper, lower is upper and is lower. Pretty simple. Here we will have a string here. Dot upper means it will convert it into uppercase. Lower, it will convert into lowercase. Is upper and is lower is just for checking if it's in the uppercase or lowercase. Then we have starts with and ends with. Here we have the string. starting with hello. If it's true, it will return as true, and same thing goes for end with also. So if it's true, it will return as true. After that we have join and split. See, this is the list we have. Okay, we have 3 items, item 1, item 2 and item 3. If you have to join it using a comma, I will be writing comma dot join these 3. So what will happen? Cats, comma, bats, comma, rats. So this will be the final string. If I want to split it, like split where? For each space I have to split. So I will be using this sentence has to be split, means I don't pass anything here, so it will be considered a first space. So each of this letter will be taken as a separate element in the list. Okay. Then ljust, rjust and center. Ljust means left justify. Here you means total spaces will be 10 if you specify 10 here. Ljust means the word which you are passing here, it will be in the left side. Same thing goes for right side. Total spaces will be 20 here, and here it will be just 15 spaces. Okay, means hello occupies 5 spaces and it will be in the right. So just means justify. Okay, and here 20 spaces will be there and hello will be in the middle. Okay, and strip, r strip, l strip. Strip means cutting off the spaces. So spam dot strip, it will cut off the spaces from both the sides. Here you have some spaces, right, that will be cut off. Okay, L strip means only the left part will be getting stripped, and R strip means the right part will only be getting stripped. Okay, so that was about the module 2. We had 3 things mainly, lists and dictionaries and strings. Okay, coming to the module 3, we have 4 topics: regular expression, then 2 things about files and debugging. Debugging is a very small topic. Let's first complete that one. Okay, or else let's go in order itself. So the first topic is regular expression. Okay, one thing I forgot to show you here, I had made a map. See, this is the map here. So in regular expression, definition and function is there. In files we have read and write, how to read and write, that syntax you need to know. Open and closing files, shelve and print. Okay, and OS also. So these things are present inside the files. In organizing file you have just 2 things, tuple module and zip module. In debugging also 2 things, assertion and debug control window. Okay, so let's get started. The first question is, write a Python program to create a phone number and email address extractor using regular expression. Okay, so what is the format of phone number we are considering here? Area code. Okay, means you are considering a foreign phone number like 999, then it will have a dash here. This is the area code. After that 3 more numbers, and after that we have another 3 numbers like 888, and after that we have 4 numbers. Okay, so this is the format. This is optional and this is also optional. From this this is the actual number. So what you can observe here, 3 digits are there. So I have written here /d and 3, and after that separator is here. After that we have 3 more digits, then a separator, and after that 3 more digits, and sorry, they are not 3 more digits. I have actually skipped that part. Okay, this is not the area. This is not the area code. This is just the first part of the question. Okay, it had area code in the actual code, but here I have skipped that part since it's optional. So you will have here the first 3 numbers, then next 3 numbers, next 3 numbers. Okay, so for that /d is there, and how many times it's getting repeated, you will be writing that number. So this was about the phone regular expression. For email, what you will have, what is a like, let's take a sample email, abc@gmail.com. So here how many things you have? ABC, for that I am specifying here, it can be any combination of symbols, numerics or alphabets. After that we have the @ symbol, so I have @ symbol here. After that we have the Gmail, those things, domain name. After that we have dot, so I have included dot here, and along with dot we have like .com, .co.uk, those things. Okay, so this is the regular expression for the email. Okay, next we have the explain with examples, pipe operator. So a pipe operator, just write what it does. It matches the multiple values. What I mean is, re.compile Batman and Tina Fey. Okay, so here it will match either Batman or Tina Fey. If I search here, if there is Batman and Tina Fey, it will output as Batman because that's the first search result. Okay, if I do the find all operator, at that time both will get printed. Okay, that is the pipe operator, and 4 operators are here: question mark, star, plus and dot. So question mark means it will match one or more. Okay, so this is the example. WO is there. So what all will get printed is Batman will get printed. Sorry, question mark means 0 or 1. Okay, sorry, question mark means 0 or 1. Either WO will not be there or one time it will be there. If it is not there, means it's Batman, that will be printed here. If it is Batwoman, that will also be printed. But suppose that WO appears more than once, like MAN, at that time nothing will be printed. Okay, star means 0 or more. Okay, so I have WO here, that can be repeated 0 times or n number of times. So Batman 0 times, woman 1 time, and multiple times, that is getting printed here. Okay, that is a star 0 or more. Okay, plus means 1 or more. So WO must be there. Okay, so Batwoman will be there, and means extra number of WO, that will also be printed. And the last one, Batman will not be printed because WO is not there. Plus means at least one time it should be there, WO should be there. Okay, so since it's not there, it will not be printed. And the next one is dot. Dot can match any of the characters. Okay, so in the dot, any one of the character will be matched. So I have like BT here, so BT will be matched and printed. Okay, so these are the 4 different types of operators. And after that we have the greedy and non-greedy match. In greedy and non-greedy match, suppose that the limit given for HA is 3 to 5, minimum is 3, maximum is 5. Greedy, what it will do, it will print the maximum possible, like 5 times it is there, 5 times it will be printed, match and print. The non-greedy one will match just the minimum requirement, so 3 times it will be printed. Okay, the next one is about the character classes. So we have different slash values here, escape sequence. So slash small d means any numeric digit from 0 to 9. The capital D means the not operator of this one, means anything other than the 0 to 9 digits. Same thing goes for W and S also. W means any letter, numeric digit or underscore. And slash capital W means anything other than this one, like special symbols. Okay, S means white spaces, tab or new line, and capital S means anything other than space, tab and new line. Okay, and finally we have the caret and a dollar operator. Caret means begins with. Okay, so any word begins with hello, that will be selected, and ends with, if any word ends with means what is there, a number. If any word ends with a number, that will be selected. Okay, and after that the next topic is files. Here we mainly need to know the read and write operation. Okay, read and write operation. After that we need to know the OS modules functions and how to open and close a file. Okay, these are the 3 things. To read a file, first you have to write hello means what is the file name here, and you have to open that file. You have to read the file, right? So what you have to do, first you have to open the file. Directly file operations cannot happen. Okay, you need to create a file object. Okay, so this is the file object, all the operations happen on file objects. So if there is a file here, you will open it, and this is the file object, and the operation to be performed on file object is read. So hello file dot read, that content will be present in hello content. If you print it, it will print as hello world. That is how you read. Okay, and write also same. You can't directly perform the write operation, you have to create a writer object, and you will perform the write operation on that object. Okay, what you have to write pass here, and this is the writer object name. Then to close, you will use dot close, and to open, this already discussed here, you will open in this way. Okay, and the next one is about the shelf module. Shelf module is used for storing the variables. Okay, here also you will have to means you can't directly perform on the shelf variable. You have to create a shelf object. Okay, so this is the name, my data is the name which I am assigning to that variable, and shelf dot open. Here you have to write shelf dot open. After you do that, there is a shelf object created. You will be performing the operations on shelf object. Okay, this is the thing here which I want to save. This list I want to save, so I am saving it by the name cats. Okay, this is the file this is the shelf object which I have created. This is under the variable my data. Inside my data, by using this one, I am saving cats. So by using my data, I can access this cats also. So this is the memory here, my data is present here. Inside that I have cats here. To access that, I need to create a file object. Okay, to perform any operation I need to create a file object. So I'll create a file object. After that I'll access the cats, means what name I saved here for cats list, the same name cats. So when I access shell module of cats, it will access the variable. Okay, so here I am doing the same thing. I am opening the my data here in a shell module. Inside the shell module I am accessing by the name I saved here, and I'll get the result. Next one is the pprint.p format. Here we have the dictionary here, cats, means the key and value pairs, and when I do pprint.p format cats, at that time the whole dictionary will be converted to a string. So this is a string here, and this string can be saved. So I'm opening a file here, mycats.py, and that is getting means I'm just opening the file, so I get a file object. Using that file object I'm writing cats plus pprint.p format cats. See, I can't save directly the dictionary. Okay, I have to convert this into a string, and that string will be saved in a file. That string will be written in a file. Okay, so that is written in the file. When I want to access, I'll just import the module and do the following operations. Because it's saved, it's like a code. Okay, so that's what I have written here. I'll be importing that file here. After I import that file, whatever variable I have to access, I'll be accessing that, and that will be printed here. Okay, so since this is a list in itself, so if I access cats of 0, the first element will be printed, which is name Zophie, and in name Zophie I just want the name. What is the name? The answer will be printed here. Okay, the next is the OS module function. The most important ones are change directory. If you have to change the current working directory, you do that by the following operation: os.chdir, and what directory means where you have to go, that will be specifying. rmdir, that will delete the path at that particular directory, and walk means you have folders and subfolders. Okay, suppose that this is folder 1, folder 2, folder 3. Inside that also subfolders you have, and inside that subfolders. So if you have to access all of this, what you will do? First you will go here in the first subfolder. Inside that, what are folders are there, you will access. Then you will come to the next one, then after this gets over, you will move to the next one. So here we will be using 3 for loops for folder name, subfolders, and file names. We will use this same syntax in os.walk, which is the path. That means the root path will be specified. Then you will be printing this is the folder name which I am in. Then you will access the subfolders. Then you will print this the subfolder name. Inside that, what are files are there, you will access each file and print the file name. Then after the file name gets over, you will move to the next subfolder. You will do the same thing. When all the subfolders in a particular folder is over, you will move to the next folder. Like that, it keeps on happening until all the folders are over in this path. Okay, so that's what OS walk is used for, a very important question. And next one we have os.list directory. Specify a path name and it will list all the directories in that path name. os.get current working directory. Write this code in the terminal, you will get the current working directories path. Okay, next topic is the organizing file. This is the third topic under module 3, and the first question is demonstrate the copy, move, rename, and delete. 4 things we have to do: copy, move, rename, and delete. Okay. So let's see how to do the 4 things. The first one is the move. Okay, if you have to move a particular file to a different location, you'll use this syntax. Okay, and the next one is to rename the operation. Okay, to rename, what you will do, you'll specify the previous file name and then what is the new file name. Okay, in the new directory. So that will be specified here. Okay, then rmt means removing the file. To remove the file using the tuple module, you will specify the path here. Okay, then it will get removed. And the last one is copy. To copy the file, you will use the means what is the file which you want to copy and where you have to copy with what name. So the means the name will be same. What path you have to copy, that will be present here. What file you have to copy, that path will be present here. Okay, so this is how you do the 4 operations. And the next question is about the zip file. In the zip file, you have to do means what is asked is reading, extracting, and creating. Okay, so what is meant by compressing files? It means reducing the size by using encoding and other operations. So how do you read the zip files? Import zip file. Example means whatever the things you are going to perform, you have to create that object. The zip file is here, you will create an object here, example zip. Okay, this is the syntax, zip file dot zip file. After you have created that, you use name list to name all the means what are the files present in that zipped file. That is how you read the zip file. And how do you extract is first you will do this one, then extract all, the same thing as previous one, create an object, using that object extract all. Okay, and if you want to extract to a specific directory, you will specify the directory path here inside extract all. Next one is the creating zip file. So here new zip file.zip file, the zip file name, and after that you will write whatever the files you want to include in that zip file. Okay, so it will create a zip file of it. Okay, the next topic which we have is debugging, and inside this we have two topics, assertions and debugging window. Okay, that's the most important questions from this topic. Okay, so what is an assertion? Assertion is a check to make sure that the code is doing something correct. Okay, means it's not doing something wrong. Okay, that check is known as assertion. So how do we means make an assertion is that in that it should be having four things: assert keyword, a condition, then comma, then what is to be displayed when the condition is false. For example, if I'll come here like assert red in stoplight dot values. So red should be there in some list. Okay, just assume that red should be there in some list. If it is not true, then I have added a comma here and it should display neither light is red. Okay, so that is the syntax of assertion. And the assertion for traffic light is that, see here, when we have a traffic light, it should be changing the colors from red to yellow, yellow to green, and green to red. Okay, so for all the cars in the traffic road to go, what we need to confirm is that the traffic light becomes red at some point. Okay, what if it's the case that it turns from yellow to green and from green to yellow? If it keeps on looping in this one, then it will never turn to red, right? If that doesn't happen, then the cars will, means the other road will not get the chance to let the cars go. Okay, so we need to see that red is included in the list. Okay, so for that what we are doing is, this is the north south green, and this is the east west, and east west we have red, and north south red, and east west green. Okay, then what we are doing, we are checking in the stoplight, if it's green it should turn to yellow, if it's yellow it should turn to red, if it's red it should turn to green. Okay, that's what we are checking here. And in that values means in the second part of the dictionary, like these are the keys, right? NS is the key and EW is the key. These are the values, green and red. So in green and red, if red is not present at that time, it should output like the neither the light is red. Okay, so that's how the assertion is used. And if that assertion is true, the output will be as follows: assertion error, neither light is red, and the list value will be printed as a string. Okay, means stoplight, what we have passed, that will be printed here. Okay, means yellow and green is only there, red is not there. Okay, next question is about the debugging. What are the keys found in the debugging window? We have to discuss on that. So the first one is the continue. Continue means it will just keep on the means doing what it's doing, and continue means like when you pause the means execution, after that you will click the continue. Okay, so that it executes, means it resumes the execution. Okay, step in means it will execute the next line and stop again, and step over means it will do the same thing as the step in, but if the function is there in the next line, it will calculate the function and it will return the value. Okay, if you step in function also, it will go and stop each time. Okay, that's the difference between step in and step over. Step out means it will go till the last part, means it will execute the program in full speed, and stop means it will stop the execution. Okay, you have to define these 5 buttons. Okay. Next one we have the write the program type questions. So the first one is like write a program to check the validity of password. Like in that there is one lowercase letter and one uppercase letter. Okay, see, lowercase letter and uppercase letter, and there should be a digit, okay, like 0 to 9, and there should be a special character among these 4. Okay, any of these. So you have to check these 4 things. Along with that, the total length of the character means the password should be 6. Okay, so the rules are like these 3 rules are there. And how do we means check that? First we will take the password as input, and there will be a flag to check. Flag will be initially 0. Okay, then we will have a while true loop here, and after that we'll have if length of password is not 6, then flag is equal to -1. And whenever this condition is not false, it means not true, at that time we'll make the flag as -1 and we'll break out of the loop. Okay, then we will check that if not, means any of the letter is means what does this search is? Any small letter. Okay, any small letter, if it is not there, at that time it will be false, and not and false will become true. So it will become flag is equal to -1. So it's just searching that if at least one letter is there, this will become true, and not true will become false, so this will not be executed. Same thing we are checking for the capital letter, digit, and these 4 symbols. Then if none of these symbols are means if none of these conditions are true, that means this will never be executed. Flag value will be 0 only and will print it's a valid password. Okay, then finally we will check if any of these condition was true. At that time flag was -1, we will check flag is equal to -1, it should print not a valid password. Okay, next question is write a program to search for the lines that start with F and it follows by 2 digits, and after that we have 2 words, and after that it follows M. Okay, so this is the starting part of the line. So what we do is first we will import the regular expression and then we will open the text. Okay, in that text, for each line what we have to check, if it's starting, this for the starting, if it's starting from F and it follows by 2 characters and ending with M in line. Okay, if it's true we'll print the line, else will not print. Okay, third one is to search for the words having the letter or means length 5. It should have the length 5, and after that it should have the starting letter as A, ending letter as Z, and in between you can have 3 characters. Okay, so how do we make the regular expression for it? First we will write A, it is starting from A and ending with Z, and it has 3 letters in between. Okay, so we'll have this regular expression in breg, and breg will be doing the find all operation in S. S is the string which we are going to search for, and yeah, that's basically it. We'll have in words all the letters which are matching this character. Okay, means this regular expression. The fourth one is to search a line starting with X and having n number of characters, not white space, and followed by a colon. Okay, and after that some number will be there. If a line consists of these means starting part is X and followed by a number of non-white spaces, colon, and a number, at that time that line will be selected, and what we have to do is you have to find out the sum of all of those digits. Means if this line is also true, this line is also true, there are 2 more lines which is true, all of the ending numbers are there, right? We have to find out the sum of those numbers. So how do we approach is that first we'll find out which are those lines. For that it's starting from X, so I've written here caret X, and we'll have non-white spaces, capital S, and we have a colon here. This is group number 1, and group number 2 will have /d plus. Okay, /d plus means 1 or more digits. Okay, and that it's ending, so I'll have a dollar here. Then when I search this one, I'll have 2 groups, group 1 and group 2. Okay, so this will be group 0, group 1. Okay, so what I will do is I'll find all the lines here that will be stored in words, and sum will be initially 0. Then sum will be equal to sum plus is equal to word of group 1. So in all those words I'll access each word, and it will have 2 groups, group 0, group 1. I'll add up all of these digits here, all of these numbers here, so that will be stored in sum, and I'll be printing the sum. Okay, so these are type of the questions which you could expect in the module 3, and let's move on to the next module. Coming to the module 4 of Python, we have the topic classes and objects. So the first question is like what is a class? That's the basic question. And how to define a class, you need to know the syntax. And how to initiate a class means after you have defined the class, you have to initiate it, like you have to add the data members and the functions in it. And finally we will be seeing how the class members are accessed. Okay, so starting from the first question, what is a class? A class is just the blueprint of the real world entities. Okay, so if you think this as a car here, and the car has some attributes like the color, the company which made it, and the windows here, and the speed of the car. So those are the attributes of the car. Okay, so those will come under data members. How do you represent the speed of a car? You can represent it using the int value, right? So those things come under the data members. Okay, and the functions are nothing but stopping the car and accelerating it, and changing the speed, moving it in different directions. So those are the functions. Okay, so functions will be like move, okay, and change the direction, stop, start, and park. So those are the functions. Okay, means what things you're doing on the car, that are the functions. Okay, so the definition which you have to write is just that class is a blueprint of the real world entities. Okay, and the syntax of the class in Python is as follows. You have to include the word class here, and after that the class name, and inside that you will have the class members and functions. Now in Python it's not necessary that you initialize the data members and the data types, right? So you can have the class like this. You'll have the class name here, and after that there is no bracket, just the just the colon here, and after that if you have nothing as of now to write in the class, you can just write pass. Okay, that means the class is empty as of now, and you can even add the data items outside of the class. I'll explain you that. Okay, see here the class time we have created a class here called as time, and what it will do is it will store the time, like what is the hours value, what is the minutes value, and what is the seconds value. Okay, so this is the first function in the class. Just one function will be there, means if you want to write this function, this has some use of initialization. Okay, that is known as init function. So in init function you will have means whatever the data members you want to include in the class, those data member values you will be taking as the argument. Okay, so here three arguments are there: hours, minutes, and seconds. And before that you will have to include self. Okay, self means you are referring to the same class. Okay, so every time when you write a function inside a class, at that time you have to write the first thing self. Okay, and self is used for accessing the data members of the same class. Okay, what I mean is, see here I have taken hours. Okay, so if you have to initialize the hours value, what I will write is self dot r is equal to hours, self dot minute is equal to minute, self dot second is equal to seconds. Okay, so the values initially are 0 0 0, but when I create an object and pass some values, those values will be included here. Okay, so that's what the class definition is, and this is how you initialize the class. Okay, and after that what we have to access the class members, you have to create an object. Okay, so we have to create an object means this is the class name, and to create an object you have to just add the brackets here. Okay, then t1 is the class object. Okay, and to access the data members, here three data members are there: hours, minutes, and seconds. If you want to access this using the object, so you will be accessing using dot operator. Okay, what happens when you create a class is there will be a like a map. Okay, blueprint, like you have to include hours, you have to include minutes, you have to include seconds. When you create a object t, at that time the real object will be created with some actual values. Here no values will be there, here just what are the data types, like you will be seeing the manual, right? In that manual it will be written like how to use the means whatever the instrument it is, and that actual instrument is the object, right? In the same way you have to remember this also. So you will be accessing the values using the dot operator, and if there is a function also, we can write it using def, like how we have written here def init. In that same way you can write any other function like def print the values, and you will be having the print function inside it. So if you want to access that one, we will be accessing in the same way t1 dot whatever the function name is, that function name, in between the dot operator will be there. Okay, so that's all about the first question, which is what is a class, how to define the class, and how are the class members accessed. Okay, what do we have in the next question is that explain the init and str method. This is a very important one. Okay, init and str method. Init I have already discussed previously. This is just used for initializing the values. Now we'll look into more depth what it actually means. Okay, so init is short for initialization. What does initialization mean? If you have created a new object, the values will be empty, right? Values will be empty. If you want to initialize the values when you create an object, like I want it to be like 10, 20, and 30, so what we will be doing is we will be using the init method. Okay, so init method is defined as follows: if no argument is passed, it will be by default taken as 0 0 and 0. If some value is passed, means how it will work is, if this under the class time, okay, it is defined in the class time. When I'm creating an object like t1 is equal to, I'll write like this, right? Time, and inside that I'll have like 2, 4, and 6. Okay, if I pass these values here, okay, and that class name is time, 2 will come in hours, 4 will come in minute, and 3 will come in seconds. Okay, so that's how the init function is used. If you don't write the init function, these things will not happen. Okay, that's why we are writing the init function. And str function is used to return a string representation of an object. Okay, means however we want we can print the object values. Okay, so what happens is you will be defining str as follows: def will be always there, this is the function name, and inside that you will have self. Okay, for all the functions inside the class you will have the keyword self in it. Okay, and after that you will have the colons, and here you will return. Okay, str only returns the values, it will not print at the same time, it will return the print statement. What's happening here? Three things are there. 3 times I have written percentage 2d, and after that I have written self.r, self.minute, and self.seconds. So what happens is the hours value, minutes value, and seconds value will be printed in these respective positions. Okay, and when I return this value, means how to access a str, means this function how will I access? When I create an object of t of time and I pass some values here, after that when I write the means print function here, like print t1, okay, what will happen is this function will be called. Okay, this will be printed. If I don't write this one, what will be printed is the address of this object, okay, like some hash value will be printed. But if I write if I define this function inside my class time, at that time this will be printed, means the time value will be printed, hours and minutes and seconds. Then the third function is the third question is about the pure functions, okay. Illustrate the example with Python program. So what do you mean by pure function? Pure function means it does not alter any value, okay. So if there is a function here like time, and I'll pass the this is the class name, and this is the object, okay. Now the pure function is what it will just print the values or return the values, okay. Like I have taken an example here. This is the def at time, and I have passed two things, t1 and t2. T1 and t2 are the already made objects, okay. I have made the objects in the main function t1 and t2, okay. So these are already made, I have passed these values here, okay. So till now it's good, nothing is modified as of now. Now I am creating a new object sum. How many objects we have now? T1, T2 and sum. Now in sum what I am doing, sum dot r is equal to T1 dot r, means what is the r's value of this one and what is the r's value of this one, that both is getting added and stored here. Now you may ask me that the value is getting modified here. Yes, the value is getting modified, but what I want to point here is that value is not modified for these two values. That's the only rule. Any other new value can be modified, that's not a problem. What should not be done is just these two arguments which I have passed, t1 and t2's value should not change. Can you see anywhere that t1 and t2 value is getting changed? It's just getting used, right? It's not getting changed, okay. So that's what the main objective of pure function is, okay. So you'll have the things here like sum dot r, minutes and seconds, and you will create a new object here, and then you will be returning that object, okay. So the pure function is just used for displaying, returning values and initializing other values, okay. That's all what the pure function does, and that's the example Python program, okay. The next type of function is the modifiers. By the name itself you can say that what does modifier do. Modifier will modify the values, right. So yeah, that's it, that's the definition. And what does let's take an example and understand how it modifies the values. Here these are the two arguments passed, time and seconds, okay. Time and seconds is passed. Now as you can see here, time dot seconds is getting modified, right. The arguments which I have passed here, that is getting modified inside the function, inside the class. So this is known as modifier, okay. So you can print also, you can do all the things which pure function does, but since the value is getting modified here which I have passed as argument, it is called as modifier function, okay. That's all what you have to write and give the example. And let's move on to the next one, which is what is type based dispatch. Illustrate with a Python program, okay. Type based dispatch, what do you understand by the term type based? Type based means based on the type. What do I mean by type? It can be either int, it can be float, it can be char, it can be string, it can be boolean value or any other class type, okay. Based on the type, the dispatch will happen. Dispatch means what? Dispatch means if there is a function like f1 and f2, now what I want is f1 should be executed when the value is int, means some variable value is int, at that time f1 should execute. And if the value of if the value is boolean value, at that time I want f2 to be executed. So this is what called as type based dispatch, dispatch to the respective functions, okay. After you have got the concept, just write the definition in your own words, like what do you understand by the term type based dispatch, and after that write this example, okay. You can take an example. I'll go through this one what I've written here, okay. See, here I have total 3 functions, right? Add time and increment, okay. 3 functions are there, add time and increment. Now this is f1, this is f2. Now where I am checking here. If the object which I have passed here, this is an object, okay, other is an object. Now other can be either int or float or boolean value or any class object also like time. Since we have defined the class time, we can consider this also. It can be any of these types. What I want is, if it is of the time object, means if the other is nothing but an object of time, at that time it should call f1. Add time is f1, so it will return f1. So f1 will be called when the other is time. If it is not, means whatever it is except time, if that's the case, I have to call increment. Increment means f2. So here type is getting checked with the function is instance, and after that the respective function is called based on the type. Okay, that's all what you have to give in the example. Let's move on to the next one, which is illustrate the overriding of str and plus operator with code snippet. Str means string, which we have discussed. Okay, means what happens is if you have an object here and it has some data variables, that data variables representation we want to get printed. Okay, means here it is int age, int roll number and string name. These three values I want to be printed in a proper format. So for that I am using the str value. So it's just that if you don't use the str value, it will just print the address of the object. If you use the str value, you can define how it is to be printed, means whatever you want to print of the members. That's known as overriding of str. Same answer as we have discussed the previous in the previous problem. Okay. And overriding of the plus operator with a code snippet. The plus operator can be used in different senses. Okay, means where do we use the plus operator? It is mainly used for adding the numbers. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Plus operator is used here. Now what I want is like this is 1 am and it is 2:30 am. Now these two are the times. I want these times also to be added. If I ask you if I add these two times, what will be the final result? It will be 3:30 am, isn't it? It will be 3:30 am. So I want if this is T1, this is T2. If I add T1 plus T2, I should get the answer as 3:30 am. But if you don't do some things, this will not happen. Okay, means you have to define some things, then only this will work. Now what are those things? That's what we are going to discuss in this problem. Okay, so the add function. Okay, this is the basic add function. Okay, means for adding the integers also you will be using this one only. Now we are overriding it. Overriding means you are defining this function again. Now you are defining this function again for time, so that what happens, it will support the time also along with int. Means if I want to add T1 plus T2, how it should add, that I am defining here. And if it is for int, it's obvious, means it's built-in function, it will do that, do for int. But for time I have to define what should be done. So that's what I am doing. I am writing the function name again and I am taking the time object here. Other is nothing but time object. Okay, so self.time means the current time plus what is the time I have passed here. Like this is 1 am and this is 2:30 am. I am adding these both and storing in seconds. Seconds should be converted to time. Seconds is just the integer value. So I am using int.time seconds. So don't worry about this one. The main point which you have to keep in mind is I am writing a function which is inbuilt function for integers, and I am defining for time also, so that it supports for time also. Okay, so that's what the overloading operator. Like for example, this also you have to write in exam. Start time is equal to 9:45. End time is equal to, means the duration is 1:35. Means if I started a football match at 9:45 and the match is going to be 1 hour 35 minutes. So at what time it's going to end? If I want to know that, I'll be defining that function here and I'll be adding it using the plus operator. Then I'll get the result here. Means at 11:20 it will end. Okay, so the plus operator is just used for int. You are defining it for to support for the time class also. Okay, that's what the plus operator overloading is. Okay. Moving on to the next question, we have define polymorphism and demonstrate polymorphism with a function to find histogram of the count of the numbers of time each letter appears in the word in a sentence. Okay, so let's break down this question. First part is define polymorphism. Let's get done with that. Polymorphism means using the same thing in different context. Like previously also, as I showed you, plus operator can be used for numbers. It can be used for adding the time as we have defined. It can be used for adding any other class object also, or any letters also, like a plus b. If you do in Python, you will get ab. Okay, so this is known as polymorphism, using the same operator in different context differently. Okay, and let's move on to the second part of the question, which is to find a histogram of the count of the numbers of time. Okay, we have to find out what count. Count of what? Each letter appears in a word and in a sentence. So suppose that this is my sentence. Let's take this sentence only. In this sentence, how many times I has appeared? Here it's appeared, here also it's appeared, and it's 2 times. And P is appeared 1 time, O is appeared here, here also it's appeared, here also, and here also. So like that I have to count how many times each letter has appeared. That's my task. Okay, so how do we approach this one? So what I'll do is I'll define a function which is any name you can keep. I keep as histogram here, and s is nothing but the sentence. Okay, s is equal to sentence. So I have a sentence here. Now d is equal to a dictionary. Okay, I guess it's a dictionary only. So and in dictionary what we have is all the letters like a, b, c, d, e, like that. We'll have all the letters. Okay, this is the dictionary function. And for c in s, means for each letter in s. Okay, for each letter in s, there are many letters here. For each letter in s, what I am checking, if c is not in d, initially d will be empty. If c is not in d, if assume the first letter is a, if a is not present in d, then what you do, d of c is equal to 1. D of c means add a here and above that write 1. Let's move on to the next letter, b. If the next letter is b, I'll add b also, I'll write as 1. Again I encounter a. So in this case this will not run. What will run is else part, because c is already in d, I cannot go with this part. Else d of c is equal to d of c plus 1. What is d of c? D of a. C is the letter which contains the letter a, and in that already 1 is there. So 1 plus 1, it will be 2. Like that it will increment how many times I encounter which all letters, that will be added in the dictionary and incremented also. Then finally I will be returning the dictionary. So dictionary will have all the information of how many times each letter has appeared. Okay, the letter and the number, these two things will be there in the dictionary. So this is how you write the code for this program, and that's it for this program. And let's move on to the next one. Explain the copy.copy with an example. Okay, copy.copy means you have two objects here. Okay, let's take int values only. Okay, x is equal to 5. Then what you write is y is equal to x. So what does y have? Y will also have 5 only. Okay, so y will be having 5 initially. Okay, means after the initialization. So when I make changes to y, if I make y is equal to 6, at that time will the x value change? Yes, it will change. X value will also become 6. Okay. So actually this does not happen exactly in the integers, it will happen in the classes and objects. Okay, for integers x will remain 5 only, y will become 6. But since you have got the concept now, I will be explaining how it actually happens in the classes. So suppose that there is a class 1 of point. Okay, and the point has two members x and y, and I create an object p1. In that p1 I initialize the x value as 5 and y value as 2. Then what I do, I will create another object p2. P2 is equal to p1. So what does p2 have? P2 have 5 and 2, same. Now what I will do is p2 dot x is equal to 7. When I do this one, the change will be directly reflected here. The change will be made here only. The p1's value will also get changed as 7. Why does this happen is because once you create an object p1, it will have the values 5 and 2. When I create another object p2 as p2 is equal to p1, what will happen is p2 will also point to the same this thing in the memory. It will be pointing to the same thing here. It will not create different thing. Okay, so when I make change as p2 dot x, it will access this one is equal to 7. If I write, it will become this one 7 comma 2. Okay, and p1 if I make changes here again, this will be reflected in p2 also. So this is known as copy.copy. This is known as shallow copying. Okay, so it will this is the normal scenario. This is not copy.copy, this is normal scenario. If I write p1 is equal to p2, at that time this will happen. Okay, means the same thing will be there, 5 and 2, p1 and p2, it will be pointing to the same thing. Now when I use copy.copy to create the p2, at that time what will happen is if suppose I had see p1 was here, p1 had 5 and 2, then I wrote p2 is equal to p1. At that time p2 will also point to the same thing, but instead of this if I wrote p2 is equal to p1 means copy.copy and here p1. If I write like this, what will happen is p2 will not point here, p2 will point to another object of the same data type data. So if I make p2 dot x is equal to 7, p1 will be remaining same only. This is known as, this is the function of copy.copy. It will create a new thing for p2 to point, it will not point to the same thing. If I don't use copy.copy, it will point to the same thing. Okay, so that was about copy.copy. And two types of the two categories are shallow copy and deep copy. Okay, what does shallow copy mean? Shallow copy means the same thing which I discussed earlier, but what happens in shallow copy is, suppose that I have rectangle. Okay, this part is not asked in the question. If you want, you can go move on to the next one. Okay, but this question can also be asked. Okay, like what is the difference between shallow copy and deep copy? So listen to this one. I have rectangle here. Okay, in rectangle, what all things I have? I have the points. Okay, point is another class object. Okay, point will have what, x and y. Okay, and after that I have like length and breadth. Okay, length and breadth are the functions of the means data members of the rectangle function only. Okay, and these are the int values, and point is another class which has two integer values x and y. So when I use shallow.copy, what happens is, if I have r1 and r2, if I use shallow copy, at that time, means shallow copy is nothing but copy.copy. At that time, the L1 and L2, okay, L1 and B1, this is L2 and B2. Okay, if these both are equal, this will be pointing to different data types. Means the value will be same of L1 and L2, but it will be pointing to different things like L1 B1, and this will be pointing to L2 B2. Since these are integer values, it will be pointing to different things. But when I use shallow.copy, the point, okay, the point thing will be pointed by the same. Okay, both will point to the same. Point will also be here P and P. Okay, P1 and P2. So if I make any change for R2 in P2, the change will be reflected here. If I make P2.x as 7, I can access that from here also. I'll access R1.P1.x, I'll get as 7. So to avoid this one, what I will do is deep copy, means copy.deepcopy. Deep copy will make sure that it is not pointing to the same object. P1 will point to another point, and P2 will point to the another point, but the data values will be same, and any change made through R2 will not be changed in R1. Okay, that's the only difference between shallow copy and deep copy. Okay, the next question is, explain the concept of inheritance and class diagrams with an example. Okay, so what do you understand by the term inheritance? We all know what is inheritance. Getting the same characteristics from the top class to the bottom class. Okay, this is the top class, which is parent class, and this is the child class. Okay, so getting the same values from here to here, that is known as inheritance. So what is the advantage? We need not define another class. We can just take the values from the previous class and add custom values to it. That's the advantage of inheritance. So after you have written the definition and advantage of inheritance, then explain with a example. Just write this syntax here. In Python, how do we do inheritance? You will write the class name, and this is the child class. Child class name will be written here. From which class you are inheriting, that will be written in the brackets. So here the thing happening is, deck is here, it's a parent class. From that I am inheriting hand class. So from the deck it will be inherited to hand, and I have represented it using this Python code. So after that you will be writing what are the changes you need to make here, like you have to add some integer values or some string values you will be adding here. Okay, so you will have in hand the added values as well as the values of the deck class. Okay, that's all about inheritance. And the next one is class diagram. So class diagram is just a abstract representation of what is the structure of program. So it shows the classes and the relationship between them. So see here, the classes as follows. Okay, there is a card here, and if I create like 50 cards, it will be a deck of cards. Okay, so that deck of cards is represented as follows. Like you have to write deck here, you have to write card here. How are these both related? Deck is a set of cards, means star means n number of cards. So deck will be pointing to card. Deck is a card. Okay, this is has a relationship. Okay, in has a relationship, deck has a set of cards, that is star. If it has 10 cards, I'll write here 10. Okay, this is known as has a relationship. Now is a relationship means when you inherit. Hand is a deck. Like if you take vehicles also, vehicle will be here, car will be here. Car is a vehicle, and vehicle has means means what are the attributes of car, that those things only, like speed. Vehicle has speed, that is like deck has card. Okay, this is how you represent the class diagram. Okay, this is just the explanation of what I just explained. Like arrow means is a relationship, and standard arrow is the has a relationship. Standard arrow means the horizontal one, and the is a relationship means with hollow or triangle, which was the vertical one. Okay, that's all. And star is the number of means how many cards the deck has. Okay, that's just representing the number. Okay, so let's see some example, like how to represent the classes and objects. Okay, using the class diagram. So here these are the classes: house, mailbox, mortgage, kitchen, bedroom, hall and room. Okay, now for this we have to make the class diagram. One thing you observe, what are the things you can make as groups? Kitchen is a kitchen, bedroom, hall and room. These all you can combine in a single thing, because room is the parent class, and from that it means kitchen is derived, bedroom is derived and hall is derived. Okay, that's the first point. And house, in the house only room will be there, so house is the parent class, right? Or you can consider this like this also: card was here, deck was here, so deck has n number of cards, house has n number of rooms. Okay, remember in this way. And house has mailbox and mortgage, so these are the attributes of house. Like vehicle has speed, right? Like that house has a mailbox and mortgage. So how do we start is, first you make room, and what all inherits room? Hall, bedroom and kitchen. And house has n number of rooms, so make house here and add star here. And what are the attributes of house? House has mortgage and mailbox. Okay, so this is the class diagram. So that's all about the theoretical part, and let's see some of the programs. Okay, so the first program is write a Python program to that uses datetime module within a class. So we have to use which module? Datetime module, and which takes the birthday as input and prints the age and number of days, hours and minutes and seconds. Okay, so we have to take the input as birthday. So let's do that first. This is the module which you are importing, datetime. Then print enter your birthday. Take it in a integer year. Same thing goes for month and day also. After you have taken the year, month and day, now this is to be converted to date time. In date time format, how you convert is just past year, month and day. Where you have to pass date time dot date time, that you store somewhere, birthday. So this will be stored as like if it is 2001 8/31. So this is the birthday. Okay, this will be stored here. And E is nothing but your age. Okay, means how do we calculate my age? Okay, so for E I have missed a point here. Actually it will not be like this, it will be actually E is equal to date time dot dot now. Okay, this is the function. When you call this function, it will save the current time, current year, month, day and time. That will be stored, you have to store in E. After that you have to just print. Okay, here it will be actually print what? E dot year minus birthday dot year. E dot year means 2022, birthday dot year means 2001. So it will get subtracted and that answer will be printed. Second, I have to print the day means time in days, month and year. So I'll just subtract E minus birthday. E minus birthday means it will subtract how many means the time, month and year from the starting point as of now from the to the birthday. Okay, so that will be printed here. Okay, and the next program is to define a class time which stores the time in hours, minutes and seconds, and the method increment seconds, which increment the seconds as sent by the argument. So here what we have is a class time, and in this class time we have hours, minutes and seconds. These three things are there in the time, and what we have to do is we have to increment the seconds as passed in the argument. So there is a function here. Using that function it is passed like 50. Okay, if 50 is passed, I have to add 50 to the seconds. If seconds is like 30, so if I add 50 to 30 it will be 80, but 80 seconds we can't represent. So what we have to do is we have to subtract 60, which will be 20, and increment minute plus 1. That's what we do, right? 80 minus 60, 20. So the 60 which we subtracted will be added in the minutes. Same thing goes for minutes also. If minute was like 59, it will become 60. 60 can't be represented, so minute will be becoming 0, and hours will be incremented by 1. Okay, so that's all what happens here in the increment function. Seconds will be incremented as passed here, and if it is greater than 60, adds means that second will be subtracted with 60, like 80 minus 60, and minute will be incremented by 1. Now if minute crosses 60, or if it becomes equal to 60, subtract 60 from the minutes and increment the hour value. Okay, this is how you define a class. Here you will have the init method, hours, minutes and seconds, and after that you have the increment also, okay, for changing the values. And that was about the second program. In third program, we have to write the use the datetime module to get the current date and print the day of the week. So here's a function. This is the datetime module. Okay, here what we have to do is we have to take the time, means the date of today, like it's 26 01 and 22. Okay, this is the date today. So here what we will be doing is datetime dot date today. This will be stored in D. Okay, and days will be printed. Sorry, not days will be printed. Here the D is stored. Okay, now what we have to do is I have to print what is the day today. It is Wednesday. Okay, now we can't directly print. We have to do 2 steps in between. Now I've got this date, and based on the date, I have to fetch the day. Okay, if I just write date dot time dot date dot day, at that time 26 will be printed, but I want Wednesday to be printed. So what I will do is I will use this function. Days is nothing but Monday to Saturday, like 0, 1, 2 index values will be there. Based on the index values, I will be printing the day. Okay, how I will do is days of, here the index value will be fetched. D dot weekday means today which weekday it is, like 0th weekday, which means Monday, and first weekday Tuesday, second weekday Wednesday, and so on. So that will be returned. Today is Wednesday, so 2 will be returned here, and days of 2 will be printed. Days of 2 means Wednesday, so that will be printed here. Okay, so that was about the third question. Let's move to the fourth one, which is develop a program to define type based method of int and float argument. Okay, so int and float argument, if it is int value, I should go to some function f1, and if it is float value, I have to go to function f2. So how do we do that is, this already we have discussed. Okay, so I will be defining a program here, program x. Here either the x will be int or float. So I will just check if it is int or not. If it is int, check int will be true. If it is means other than int value, it will be false. So if check int means if this is true, option A, else option B. If it is integer value, this will be executed, else this will be executed. So option A means, in option A I have defined the function as it was int, in option B it was float. Now I am passing a number like 25.9. You tell me what will be the output. Program number, in number 25.9 is passed. Here 25.9 will come, x is 25.9. I will check if 25.9 is int or not. It is not, so check int will become false. If check int is false, this will not be executed, this will be executed, which is option B. Option B, it will be going to here, and what will be printed is it was float value. Okay. Coming to module 5 of Python, we have 4 main topics. The first one is the web scraping, and after that we have PDF and documents and Excel after that, and lastly we have CSV and JSON. Okay, so these are the 4 things which we will be discussing, and Selenium controlled browser also comes under web scraping, so we'll start from that. So the question is like, what are the methods do the Selenium web development object have for simulating mouse clicks and keyboard keys? Okay, so Selenium is just a programming language. So it's a library in Python using which we can simulate the mouse clicks. Okay, for example, if this is a terminal, okay, and you type some code here, by this code you access a web page here, and this element will be getting clicked. And if you want to type something in this input, you will be accessing this input here, and whatever you want you will be sending from that. Okay, so that will be written here, and you can either submit it using writing some code, or like do whatever you want. Okay, so that's what the Selenium module is. We will be controlling the web browser using the code. Okay, so 2 things are here, mouse clicks and keyboard keys. So we have to explain each of these using a Python code snippet. So how to start a Selenium controlled browser? Okay, So we could follow a link and make a selection on the radio button or a submit button or trigger whatever else might happen, but this can be simulated using Selenium also. So how do we do that? How do we do that is, first you have to from Selenium import browser WebDriver. Okay, sorry, not browser, from Selenium import WebDriver. So this you have to write to import the WebDriver module from the Selenium library. Okay, so after you have imported WebDriver, then next you have to create a browser. Browser is equal to webdriver.firefox. So browser is nothing but just the browser will be opened here. Then you have to write a website here, just as how we do normally. We will be opening a browser, then we will be writing the website name here. So that website name is used, means to get that website name you have to use browser.get and type the website name here. After you type the website name here, the website will be opened here. So till now what happened, you just imported the WebDriver, and after that you created a browser to get the web page. Okay, after you have done that, then by the browser.find element by link text, read it online. So by the text where it is written read it online, so you will have different elements in the web page, right? So wherever the text is written read it online, that will be selected, and that is stored in link element. Then to click it, you will write link element dot click, so this thing will be clicked. Okay, so this is how the simulation of the mouse click will be, and you can do the same things like what we do in the web browser. Either we can go back or we can go front. Okay, so browser.back and browser.forward, browser.refresh, browser.quit. Okay, this for the mouse clicks, and it could be used to simulate the keyboard strokes also. It is just the sending of the key. So what you have to do is, suppose that you have to enter the password and the email. So what you will do is, you will access these elements here by using the IDs. So after getting this, you will be sending keys from the terminal. So the keys will be sent to the respective positions. By using the mouse click, you will be submitting it. Okay, so this is the same thing from Selenium import WebDriver. Browser is equal to webdriver.firefox. Firefox browser will be opened, then you are getting the website, so that website will be opened here. In that website you are finding the element by ID. Each of the element will have one ID. When you are accessing that ID, you will be able to make changes to it. So email element will be accessed, and then password element will also be accessed. Each time you will send keys. Okay, means the email ID and the password. Then password element dot submit, that submit will be clicked after this one. Okay, so that's how you simulate the keyboard keys. And commonly used variables are like a key dot down, key dot up, key dot left, and key dot right. So when you send these keys, what happens is the web page will be able to scroll right, left, up, and down. Okay, and keys dot enter, it will be able to enter, return, home, and etc. Okay, so this is about the Selenium module. You'll have two things, mouse and keyboard clicks. Okay, make sure you write the theoretical part as well as the code. Moving on, we have the next question in the web scraping, which is explain parsing HTML with the beautiful soup module with code snippets for creating. First thing is creating, second is finding an element, third one is getting data. Three things we have to do in the HTML parsing. We have to use the beautiful soup module, okay, which is BS4. We'll be importing BS4, then we are creating a HTML page, finding an element in it, and getting the data from it. So let's see how to do that. Creating a beautiful soup object from HTML. So import BS4 for importing this module. Then example file, here you will be having the file object. Okay, see, we are not directly working on the file, we are working on the file object. Okay, so we have to open the HTML part here. Type the website here, you will be then it will be opening the HTML file. That file should be converted to object. Okay, it's just like the file is here, it will be converted to an object. Okay, now this is an object, and every operation happens on the object, not on the file. Okay, now you have the object. Now next what we have to do is, this object will be passed to beautiful soup, so that soup object will be created. So we'll be easily able to pass the HTML page. Okay, so three things have happened here. First, the normal page is here, HTML page. Secondly, you will make an object of that HTML page, then you will make a beautiful soup object of that object. Okay, means HTML object. Okay, that's how you create a beautiful soup object from HTML. After that, the next question was to find an element. So finding an element means, this is the web page here. In that web page, you will have the information, text, video, audio, everything will be there, right? So for each of these, there will be a ID. Okay, like a div tag will be there, paragraph tag will be there, span tag will be there, class ID will be there. So by using what ID you want to access, you will be accessing that information. So for that example file, I have opened the example file here. Then the beautiful soup object is created. Then PLMs means paragraph element. Okay, select P. If I write select p, paragraph elements will be selected, where all I have a paragraph in my web page, like here, here, so these will be selected. Okay, that's the paragraph selection. I'll be selecting using dot select. Okay, dot select will be used, and whatever tag I want to select, I'll be mentioning here. After I've selected that, then for each of those paragraph there will be line numbers, line 0, line 1, line 2 and all. I have to access each line, so I'll be using plms of 0, that will access the first line, plms dot 1, second line, dot get text. So I'll get the text, and which will be this one here. This is the first line. Download my Python book from my website. Okay, and many different areas of the browser could be controlled, and the main function used is select. Okay, select is used mainly in which one? Finding an element. Okay, to find an element, first you have to get that element id, and by using that id like paragraph and all, you will be getting the text out of it. Okay, and the other things include like a division tag, author tag, and no tries, and input nums tag. Okay, so by using these tags you can fetch the values. And getting the data is also the same thing, just you will have the whatever you have accessed here, like span tag, after that just 0, that means the first span element will be accessed, and you can get the id out of it. And what is the means, get some non-existing address, means it is not existing, so it will not come. Okay, so it will not come, so it's equated with none, so that is true. Okay, and attributes means what is the id, that also you can fetch. So basically for every element you can fetch all the information as well as the data present in it. Okay, the second question is, what is web scraping? How to download files from the web, check the errors, and save the downloaded file to hard drive. Okay, three things are here. First is how to download the files from the web, second is check the errors, third is save the downloaded files to the hard drive. Okay, so what is web scraping? That is a term used for using a program to download and process the content from the web. Okay, so web is here, and we'll be using the code to access the relevant information from the web, that is known as web scraping. Okay, and there's a module which is request module, which lets you to do these things, and you can easily download files from the web without having to worry about the network problems and all. Okay, so how do we do that? Here you have import request. Okay, request is the module. First you have to import it and get the URL. Okay, after getting the URL, result will be ready. Okay, means which website you are going to fetch the which website you are going to download the data from. Okay, and if there is an error here, at that time you will raise for status, the same thing, result, the same website here, and result dot raise for status. So if there is an error, the raise for status will be true, else it will be false. Okay, and to save the web pages in the hard drive, we can't save directly. Okay, HTML page means there will be data here. This is the HTML page, there will be data here. To save it in the empty file, what we will do is we'll access this data and write all of this data to our file. Downloading also the same thing happens, whatever the data is there, it will be stored in a new file here. That's what we are doing here also. We are accessing this and writing it to a new file. Okay, so we are doing here from which website we want to download, and in that, for every chunk in that website, you will be writing that chunk into the play file. Play file is nothing but file object created for a new file. Okay, coming to the next question, how to retrieve a web page element from the beautiful soup using the select method. So that we have discussed select method, but here it is by using a CSS selector. CSS selector, it's just the same thing, just you have to use CSS selector. We were using find element by id, find element by text, now it will be find element by CSS selector, and this is the selector id, which you will get by using the right click inspect. Okay, in the web page you will get an option, if you right click you can inspect the id, and in that you will get the this thing which I have written here. So by using this thing you can select the particular element by CSS selector. Okay, so that's all about this question, which is about selecting using CSS selector. Okay, the next topic is about the Excel sheet. So Excel sheet is you'll have a document, right? In that document you'll have rows and tables, and this is the cell values, and you'll be accessing it. Okay, so how do we do that with the Python? Okay, so the first question is, write a note on the following by demonstrating the code snippet. Opening the Excel document with OpenPy Excel. So which is the module which you are going to use? OpenPy Excel. Okay, so OpenPy Excel is used to open the Excel documents. So you are importing OpenPy Excel, and after that when you have to open any sheet, means the workbook. Okay, workbook means it's a bundle of sheets. There will be many sheets here which will be stored as a single workbook. Okay, means sheet 1, sheet 2 and all till sheet n. and you will be loading the workbook by using this function, and the name of the workbook will be passed as argument, and that will be stored in WB. So WB is a reader object, means an sheet object. Okay, and you'll be performing operations using WB. Okay, not the actual file, just as previous one. Okay, so that is how you open the Excel documents. And the next question is getting the sheets from the workbook. How do you get the sheets from the workbook? Okay, you can get the sheet names by using get sheet names function. So you'll have here like a workbook you will open, the name will be passed, it will be stored in WB. All the functions are to be performed in WB, WB.get sheet names. So in the output you will see how many sheets are there, their names will be printed. Next one is about getting the cells, rows, columns, and columns from the sheets. Okay, three things we need: cells, rows, and columns. So how do we get the cell? Is that first the same thing, create a workbook object. After that, WB.getSheet by name, whichever sheet you want to access, that you will be accessing. Okay, sheet 1 if you want to access, that will be accessed, and that object will be stored here. Here also you are not performing the operations on the sheet, you will be performing on the sheet object. Okay, always the operation will perform on the objects. Okay, so after you have created an object, in that object which cell you want to access, or which column or which row you want to access, that will be specifying here. Okay, A1 means first row and first column. Okay, this cell you are accessing, and you can slice the worksheet object to get all the cells of the object in a row. Okay, and how do we slice is by A1 till C3. So A1 till C3 will access all the rows. Okay, so here A1 means A1 till C3 means whatever rows are here, that will be accessed. Okay, so for that we will be using the function here. For row of cell objects in sheet means from A1 till C3, for cell object in this one we will be printing the values. After each iteration in the inner loop, it will be printing end of row. So each row will be printed here, and for first of one row will be printed, then 2 row, then 3 row. In each row A, B, C, these column values will be printed. So first row in the first iteration, second in the second, and third in the third. Okay, for columns what we have to do is, for cell object in the sheet columns 1, print cell object dot value. So what happens is, sheet columns 1 means sheet dot columns of 1, all the column values will be stored in the sheet columns 1. So those what are the cell values associated with that will be printed in each iteration. Okay, the next question is how to work with Excel spreadsheet in Python, explain briefly. So this is just a summary of what we have discussed earlier. So here you will have an Excel spreadsheet called workbook, and to open, just import it and open pyexcel.load workbook. Okay, and how to read it by using the first you will get the names, and if you want to read any particular sheet, get that sheet by name, so that sheet object will be stored. After that, get the value of it, means what is the A3 value, A1 value, that will be printed. And if you want to read from A1 till C3, you will be accessing that as well. And after that, if you want to read a column value like the first column, you will be accessing columns of 1. Okay, the next operation which you can perform on the Excel spreadsheet is writing and saving. Okay, so to save you will use wb.save, and to write on it we will be using the same thing. You will be creating a sheet, new sheet, and after that get sheet by name, and after that you will be writing on which cell you want what value. Okay, the next one is about the PDF and Word documents. Okay, so here two modules are there: PDF, py2 PDF, py PDF2. Okay, py PDF2, this is the module, and docs is the module for Word document. So first let's discuss the PDF module. Write a program to get a list of all files with the PDF extension in the current working directory and sort them. Okay, so what we have to do, get the list of all files, extension is PDF, then we have to sort them. From where we have to fetch? We have to fetch from current working directory. So here we are importing pypdf2, and empty means we have to save the list of the files, right? So an empty list is initialized here. After that, for file name in os.list directory, os.list directory will list all the directories in that current working directory, and which is having means this is just all the file names. Okay, after that, for file name, if it ends with .pdf, whichever ends with .pdf, that will be selected, and in that pdf files dot append file name .pdf. File name.pdf is the extension, so we are just saving the file name in the PDF file list. Okay, so after saving all the file names, we are sorting it alphabetically. So we are using the function which is pdf files dot sort and str lower. This will sort in the alphabetical order. And the next one is how to work with pdf documents in Python. Explain extracting text. First one, decrypting, creating, copying pages, encrypting, and one more is there, rotating pages. Okay, so let's discuss each of these. These are very easy. Just the bigger one is this one, copying pages. Okay, these are like one line only, extracting text and all. So let's discuss what is that. These are the default things which you have to write. Okay, import pypdf2. Then as I told earlier, you can't do the operation directly on file. You have to create a file object. So file object is created here, pdf file object, and after that if you want to read it, you have to create a reader object. Okay, so you are passing file object here, and then pypdf.to pypdf2 dot pdf file reader. File reader is created. After that you can access whatever is in the pdf meeting minutes. Okay, so like pdf reader dot num pages, and if you want to get a particular page number, you have to specify dot get page. Then you can get the page also, and you can extract the text also by using dot extract text. Okay, that was for extracting text, and this for decrypting. If it is encrypted, you have to use the secret key. Okay, here you have to use dot decrypt. Same thing goes for encryption also, dot encrypt. Okay, and creating pdf, we cannot directly create pdf. You have to copy the existing files from the previous one to the new file. Okay, and in this file you have to store what are the contents needed to be written. Okay, so for that we are creating a file reader object, and after that adding the content to it. Do the following. Output file is what we have to write the content to the new file. So dot write we are using, and pdf writer is the object. Okay, for copying pages, suppose that there are two pdf, p1 and p2. We are creating a new pdf which is p3, and for copying pages, first we'll copy all the pages of p1. After that, when it's done, we'll be copying the pages of p2, means after that. Okay, firstly we'll import the module, and after that we are creating two file objects because two pdf are there, right? pdf1 and pdf2. So pdf file 1, pdf file 2. After those two are created, we have to read them. To read, we have to create two reader objects, pdf file 1 reader, pdf file 2 reader, and only one writer is required. Whatever we have to write, we will be writing that in a single file. So one writer will be required, two reader will be required. Okay, and first we are accessing the page 1. How many pages are there? In that range we have to access. So for page num, in range pdf reader dot num pages. Okay, for the first pdf we are doing. After that we are getting the page object for each pdf in each iteration, and after that we are adding the page to the pdf writer. The same thing goes for pdf 2 also. We are accessing the each page, and that each page is converted to page object, and the page object is added to pdf writer. Okay, after that the output file will be we are opening our output file, and we are writing in that output file the pdf writer content. Whatever I stored here in the using two files, that will be written in the output file. Okay, then we will close it, means whatever objects we have opened, that will be closed. Okay, so this is how you copy the pages. And the next one is encrypting pdf. That's very easy, dot encrypt. Okay, and for rotate also I forgot to tell. In rotate also it will be the same thing, just that when you get a page, see here, when you get a page, right, and if you want to rotate that page, you have to just write dot rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise, and after that how much degree you want to rotate. Okay, so that's all the difference you have to make after this line of code. And the third one is about the docs module. Okay, in docs module you have to import docs, and after that you will define a function. That function is what? Get the text from the document. Okay, that's it. So you will define a function, and the file name will be passed, whichever document we have to access. And as you know, we cannot directly perform the operations on the file. You have to create an object. So we are creating a document, so it will be doc, and full text is the means an empty list where we will be storing the document data. Okay, and we'll be using the for loop here. For paragraph, in doc.paragraph, each paragraph will be accessed first, and it will be appended in the empty list. Okay, after that it will be joined, means whatever spaces are there, whatever like /n is there, those all will be removed, and all the text will be joined. Okay, then we'll be returning the final means what is the data we got from the document. Okay, that was about the PDF and documents. This is the last topic, which is CSV and JSON. What is JSON? JSON is JavaScript object notation. Okay, it's a popular way to transfer the data from one place to another place. Okay, and the format will be as follows. You'll have a double quotes here, and this is one element, this is another element, like that, same as dictionary. Okay, so the JSON module is this one, import JSON. Okay, that's it, import JSON, and here we'll have string of JSON data. Okay, so this is the JSON data here, and after that, if you want to convert into a Python module, what Python value, what we have to do, JSON dot loads will convert JSON to Python. Same thing, if you want to convert back into from the Python value to the JSON value, you have to use dumps. Okay, that will convert Python to JSON. Okay, so that are the two main things in the Python module, in the JSON module. And the next one is CSV module. In CSV, you have two things, reader object and writer object. Okay, reader object means it will read what is in the comma separated values data. Like CSV will be like this. Okay, it will have different columns here, and the data will be written here. If you select each row here, if you write in the notepad, it will be like first element, comma, second element, comma, third element, and so on. Okay, so how to read this data and also how to write this data, that we will be discussing now. Okay, so read the data. To read the data, you have to create the reader object, and see, before that, let's discuss the advantages of CSV. Okay, so it's simplicity, which makes it more famous than the other means formats, and it can be viewed in text editors and Excel sheets also, and other escape characters other than commas can be used. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And let's discuss the reader object here. Reader object, how to create is, first you will access the CSV file. We can't perform the operations directly on the file, so we have to create an object. So we create example file as the object, pass that file in the csv.reader. So you have a reader here. By using reader, you will be accessing the data. Okay, means example data is list of example reader. So example reader will fetch all the data in the CSV, and it will store in the example data. Okay, writer object also does the same thing. You have to use csv.writer. Okay, open the file in the write mode, and after that you'll be passing that file in the csv.writer, and output writer is the writer object. Then you will write means output writer dot write row. Each time you will be writing a single row. Okay, in single row, what all elements you have to pass, like in the first column spam, second column x, third column bacon, and fourth column ham. Okay, so this will be stored in the first column of CSV file. Okay, that's how you read and write, and that's pretty much it about the module 5 of Python. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.